The crystal chandeliers of the plaza glittered like frozen lightning as Madison Hale stepped into the ballroom, her hand resting on her 6-month belly, unaware that her entire world was about to split open in front of New York's elite. She thought she was here to support her husband, Logan Bishop, during his fundraising speech. Instead, she walked straight into her own betrayal. At first, she didn't understand why every pair of eyes slowly turned toward her. Some widened, others darted away with pity. A few even whispered behind manicured hands. Madison smoothed her simple navy dress, trying to ignore the sting in her chest. She looked around, searching for Logan. He was usually the kind to wave her over, to kiss her forehead, to present her as the woman who kept him grounded. But tonight, Logan wasn't waiting. He was already on stage, and he wasn't alone. A woman, tall, golden-haired, wrapped in a silver gown that clung like liquid metal, rested her hand possessively on Logan's arm. Madison froze. Her breath caught. Her fingers tightened instinctively around the soft fabric over her stomach. Logan didn't even flinch. "Ladies and gentlemen," he said into the microphone, smiling like this was the happiest night of his life, "I'm entering a new chapter." A murmur rippled through the ballroom. Madison felt the floor tilt. Logan continued, his voice smooth, cold, polished for investors and cameras. "My wife and I have chosen to separate. It's mutual, it's healthy, and it's time for me to move forward with someone who understands the demands of my world." Madison's knees buckled. Mutual? Healthy? She had eaten breakfast with him 5 hours ago. He'd kissed her forehead before leaving their Park Avenue condo, telling her to rest up. She hadn't known anything was wrong. The woman beside him lifted her chin. Serafina Wilde, a model Madison recognized from magazine billboards on Fifth Avenue. Someone gasped behind her. Another whispered, "He left her while she's pregnant?" The lights blurred. Madison felt her pulse in her ears. Her baby shifted anxiously under her ribs. She stumbled toward a pillar, gripping it to stay upright as photographers snapped photos, capturing her collapse like it was entertainment. Her vision swam, her breath shortened. And then the pain hit, sharp, low, terrifying. She didn't realize she was about to bleed right there on the plaza's marble floor. Madison didn't remember how she made it out of the plaza. One moment she was gripping the marble pillar, the world spinning in flashes of white light and cold whispers. The next, she was outside on Fifth Avenue, the winter air slamming into her lungs like a punch. Traffic hummed, tourists stared. Paparazzi lenses glinted as they trailed behind her, like vultures circling something dying. Her hands trembled violently as she pressed them under her belly, trying to steady the sharp, dragging ache that pulsed through her body. She hailed a cab, her voice barely a whisper. "Park Avenue, please." The driver didn't speak. Maybe he recognized her. Maybe he pitied her. She didn't want either. The ride was a blur of honking horns and the surreal glow of the Manhattan skyline. Madison stared at her reflection in the window, the smeared mascara, the pale skin, the fear she couldn't hide. Logan's words echoed mercilessly in her head. "I'm entering a new chapter. With someone who understands my world. Mutual." Mutual? She pressed a trembling hand to her chest, feeling her heart crack in places she didn't know could break. She wasn't angry yet. She was something worse, hollow. When the cab stopped, she stepped out through a haze of dizziness. The doorman looked at her with soft eyes, gently guiding her inside the building. "Mrs. Bishop, are you all right?" She couldn't answer. If she opened her mouth, she might scream. In the private elevator, she leaned against the mirrored wall. Her pregnancy belly pressed outward painfully, as if reacting to her panic. Her breathing grew uneven. A single hot tear slid down her cheek. The apartment door clicked open, and a familiar scent, Logan's cologne mixed with the sterile, expensive smell of polished floors, hit her. It used to make her feel safe. Tonight, it made her nauseous. She walked inside and froze. On the dining table, beneath the soft glow of their pendant light, lay a thick white envelope, her name written in Logan's handwriting. Next to it, a Cartier box wrapped in silver ribbon, clearly meant for Serafina Wilde. Her stomach twisted. With shaking fingers, she opened the envelope. Divorce papers. Cold, clinical, final. And attached to them was a note. "It's better for both of us. Signed quickly. Let's avoid chaos during my transition. I'll take care of you financially for the baby's sake if you cooperate." "Transition?" She choked out, her voice cracking. "He planned this." Her knees buckled again, but she caught herself on the edge of the table. The room blurred. The baby kicked sharply, as if startled by her distress. Pain shot through her lower abdomen, deeper, sharper this time. "No, no, not now," she whispered. She tried to breathe, but her chest wouldn't open. Panic clawed through her ribs as sweat broke across her forehead. She staggered toward the living room sofa, clutching her belly, gasping for air. Her phone buzzed. A news alert. Logan Bishop makes his relationship with model Serafina Wilde official, calls it a fresh start. Madison felt something inside her snap. She dropped the phone. Her vision darkened at the edges. The pain sharpened. Too sharp, too sudden. She knew enough from pregnancy blogs, from Dr. Spark, Avery Quinn's warnings, to understand something was wrong. She fumbled for the arm of the sofa, lowering herself carefully, teeth clenched against the cramping. A warm, horrifying wetness spread underneath her. "No," she whispered, her voice cracking. "Please, baby, please hold on." Her breathing hitched as she reached blindly for her phone. Her hands were shaking so violently she almost dropped it again. She dialed the only number she trusted. Not Logan. Not family. She had none left. Her best friend, Maya. The moment the call connected, Madison's voice broke into a desperate sob. "Maya, I'm bleeding." Another wave of pain ripped through her. The room tilted sideways. The last thing she heard before darkness pulled her under was Maya screaming her name. And then everything went black. Madison woke to the sterile scent of disinfectant and the soft beeping of machines. For a moment she couldn't remember where she was. The world felt muffled, like she was underwater. Then a familiar voice broke through the haze. "Madison? Hey, Madison, can you hear me?" It was Maya. Madison blinked, the harsh hospital lights blurring into streaks. Her throat felt dry, her body heavy. She tried to speak, but only a rasp escaped her lips. Maya leaned closer, her eyes red from crying, her blazer wrinkled like she had run straight from a meeting. "You scared the hell out of me," she whispered. "The paramedics said you lost too much blood. Madison, what happened?" Madison's fingers twitched weakly. She couldn't form the words. Her brain replayed the last moments. The envelope, the Cartier box, Logan's note, the pain, the panic. It all slammed into her chest like a physical blow. Suddenly footsteps approached, measured, calm, familiar. Dr. Avery Quinn entered, his expression serious but steady. His navy scrubs were slightly wrinkled, his hair tousled from what looked like an all-night shift, yet his eyes were filled with a quiet, grounding confidence. "You're awake," he said softly, checking the monitors. "Good. You gave us a pretty rough night." Madison swallowed, her voice hoarse. "My baby?" Avery softened instantly. "Your baby is okay. That's the good news." Madison's chest loosened just enough to breathe. She closed her eyes in relief. "But," Avery continued, his tone shifting into a firm, clinical seriousness, "you're not. You had a placental bleed. Stress triggered a dangerous spike in your blood pressure. If Maya hadn't called 911 immediately, we might be having a very different conversation right now." Madison's eyes filled with tears. She turned her face away, ashamed, exhausted. "I'm sorry," she whispered to no one and everyone. I didn't think he'd do this. Not like that. Not in public. Not while I'm carrying his child." Maya clenched her jaw, fury simmering beneath her grief. "Logan Bishop is a monster," she said through her teeth. "I knew he was arrogant, but this? Publicly humiliating you? Announcing a separation with his mistress beside him, and then leaving divorce papers like trash on your dining table?" She shook her head. "He doesn't deserve to breathe the same air as you." Avery's eyes hardened, but his voice remained calm. "Madison, listen to me. This can't happen again. Your body cannot handle another emotional shock like that. You're at high risk for preeclampsia now. Any more stress, and we're talking seizures, stroke, emergency delivery, you need stability, peace, support." He leaned closer, lowering his voice. "Whoever is doing this to you, stay away from them." Madison let out a shaky breath. "He's my husband." Avery paused. "Then he shouldn't be." Those words struck deeper than he probably intended. Madison felt them lodge under her ribs like truth she had been avoiding. Before she could respond, her phone lit up on the bedside table. A text preview flashed across the cracked screen. "We need to finalize the divorce quickly. My PR team says—" Madison flinched so violently that the heart monitor spiked. Avery grabbed the phone, silenced it, and set it face down. "Absolutely not. Not tonight." Maya stepped forward, eyes blazing. Madison, you're not going home. You're staying with me. Logan won't come near you. I'll make sure of it. Madison opened her mouth to protest, but another figure appeared in the doorway, silhouetted by the hallway light. A tall man in a charcoal coat, calm, controlled. Familiar, but impossible. Her breath hitched. He stepped inside, his voice low, steady, cutting through the air like a knife wrapped in velvet. Madison, he said. It's me, Ethan Ward. We need to talk. And the secret she's been running from her entire adult life was suddenly standing at the foot of her hospital bed. For a long moment, Madison couldn't speak. Ethan Ward looked impossibly out of place in the small hospital room, too composed, too powerful, too sharply carved in his charcoal coat with rain still drying on the shoulders. He had always carried an air of quiet authority, but tonight there was something heavier in his eyes. Urgency. And something like sorrow. Maya straightened instantly, defensive. Who are you? Ethan didn't look at her. His gaze stayed on Madison, steady, unwavering, the way someone looks at a person they once swore to protect. It's all right, Madison whispered, voice trembling. Avery glanced between them, sensing tension but stepping back respectfully. If this is going to stress her? It won't, Ethan said, and though the words were soft, they held the weight of steel. He turned to Madison again. I came as soon as I heard. How did you even know? She asked, still weak, still adjusting to the sight of him. It's been years. Ethan hesitated. Your emergency contact. Madison's breath caught. Her mother had added him when she was 17, right before her death. Madison had never changed it, never thought to. Avery nodded slowly, piecing things together. So your family? Ethan's jaw tightened. Not by blood, but the implication was there. By responsibility, by promise. Maya crossed her arms, suspicion radiating. Okay, someone better start explaining because Madison almost died last night, and I'm not letting strangers stroll in with dramatic entrances. Madison swallowed, her throat tight. Ethan managed my father's trust. Maya blinked. Your father left you money? Madison flinched, guilt flooding her chest. She had hidden so much for so long. Ethan stepped closer, pulling a chair to the side of her bed. He didn't touch her, but his presence grounded the air, quieting it. Madison, I wish I didn't have to bring this up now. You're weak, you're hurting, but what's happening with Logan? His expression hardened. This is exactly what your father feared. Her heart thudded painfully. Don't say that. I have to. Avery watched carefully, arms folded. Maya stood frozen. Ethan continued, voice low and grave. Your father knew the world would come for you one day, either for your name or your inheritance. That's why he hid you. Why I've spent the last 13 years keeping predators away from your trust. Madison's eyes filled again, not with grief this time, but shame, and I walked right into one. Ethan didn't hesitate. Logan didn't stumble into your life by accident. The words hit the room like broken glass. Maya's eyes widened. What are you saying? Ethan exhaled slowly. 3 years ago, someone tried to access information about the Hailtech Trust. Someone with corporate-level cyber tools. We traced it back to an IP address in Manhattan. He paused. Bishop Analytics. Madison froze. No, she whispered. Logan said he met me by chance. At that little tech conference, he said he didn't even know who I was. Ethan's gaze softened, but his next words were merciless. He knew exactly who you were. His company hacked records, looking for a way to pull Hailtech's investors into his orbit. When he found out you were alive and alone, he tailored himself to be everything you needed. Maya clenched her fists. He used her. He married her for leverage. Ethan nodded once. And now he's discarding her because he thinks she's powerless. Madison's stomach twisted. Not from pain, but betrayal cutting deeper than any blow. She blinked fast, tears spilling onto the pillow. I loved him. I thought he picked me because I was normal, because I wasn't money. You were never normal to him, Ethan said quietly. You were a route to power he couldn't legally touch. Silence, heavy, shattering. Then Avery stepped closer, voice firm. Madison, you can't stay in the same space as Logan. Not emotionally, not physically. Your health can't survive another lie. Ethan leaned forward, eyes locked on hers. Come back to California, temporarily. Let us protect you. Your inheritance, your child, your life. Logan cannot be anywhere near them. Madison's breath shook, because she knew Ethan wasn't asking. He was telling her what she had always feared. Logan Bishop hadn't just broken her heart, he had targeted her. The next morning, pale winter light spilled across the hospital room as Madison slowly pushed herself upright against the pillows. Her body ached, heavy, sore, tender, but nothing hurt as much as the truth Ethan had dropped the night before. She felt cracked open, stripped bare. The man she loved, the father of her unborn child, had never been a coincidence. He had been a strategy, a transaction, a target. Maya returned with 2 coffees, one hand balancing a paper bag of pastries. "Still breathing?" she asked softly, trying to lighten the mood. But the worry in her eyes was sharp. "Barely," Madison whispered. Before Maya could answer, the door slid open again. Dr. Avery Quinn walked in, a tablet tucked under his arm. He glanced at Madison's monitor, then gave her a measured professional look. "How's the pain?" "It's manageable." "That wasn't the question," he said gently. Madison's lips trembled, but she said nothing. Avery exhaled. "Your vitals stabilized overnight, but your blood pressure is still too high. Stress is poison for you. One more shock like yesterday and we're discussing early delivery." He paused. "Or something worse." Maya's jaw clenched. "Logan is the stress. She needs to be away from him." As if summoned by the mention of his name, Madison's phone buzzed on the bedside table. Logan's name flashed across the screen. Avery snatched the phone before Madison could reach it and placed it face down. "No phone calls. Not from him." Maya growled under her breath. "He probably wants her to sign those disgusting divorce papers. Or control the narrative," Avery added. "Men like him panic when they lose the story." The tension thickened. Madison closed her eyes, trying to breathe. "I don't want him here." "You won't have to deal with him," Maya said firmly. "I can get a restraining order, strap, emergency protective if needed." Before Madison could reply, the door opened a 3rd time. Ethan. His presence filled the room the way storms fill dark skies, quiet, massive, inevitable. He carried a folder in his hand and an expression that meant he had already made decisions for her safety. "We don't have much time," he said, closing the door behind him. "Logan's PR team just released a statement." Madison's chest tightened. "What kind of statement?" Ethan opened the folder and handed a printed page to Maya. "Read it." Maya skimmed and her face drained of color. "Oh my God, he's insane." "What does it say?" Madison whispered. Maya read aloud, voice shaking with rage. "My wife has been under emotional distress and has chosen to separate for her own mental health. I love my unborn child and will protect him from instability." Madison's jaw dropped. "Mental health? He's painting you as unstable," Ethan said evenly. "He's setting up a custody play." Avery cursed under his breath. "Something doctors rarely did. He's exploiting your medical episode. He's going to claim you're unfit." Madison felt the ground tilt. "He wouldn't." "He would," Ethan said. "He already has." Maya stepped closer, fury radiating. "This is war." Ethan nodded slowly. "And Madison is in no condition to fight it here. You need distance, now." He looked directly at her. "My jet is waiting at Teterboro. If you want out, we leave in 2 hours." Madison's breath shook. 1,000 fears spiraled beneath her ribs. Her home, her baby, her collapsing marriage, her secret inheritance. Running felt terrifying, but staying felt lethal. Avery touched her shoulder. "Madison, you almost died last night." Maya squeezed her hand. "You don't owe Logan another second. Choose yourself." Madison lifted her eyes to Ethan, the man who had protected her long before she even understood why. Her voice was barely a whisper. "Take me to California." And with that choice, Madison Hale stopped being a victim and became the storm coming for Logan Bishop's empire. 3 hours later, Madison stepped out of the hospital in a wheelchair pushed by a nurse, her body still weak but her mind sharper than it had been in months. A cold wind swept down Manhattan streets, biting at her cheeks. She pulled her coat tighter around her belly. The city she had once loved now felt like a battlefield she barely survived. A black Mercedes S-Class idled at the curb. Ethan stood beside it, speaking quietly into his phone, issuing instructions with the precise authority of someone used to controlling crises. When he spotted Madison, he ended the call immediately and opened the car door. "You'll be safe," he said softly. Not a promise, a certainty. Maya hugged Madison tight, whispering, "Call me every hour. I mean it. And I'll prepare everything for when you come back. Legal, financial, custody defense, whatever you need." Madison nodded, emotions swelling in her chest. "Thank you for saving me last night." "You saved yourself," Maya corrected. "I just dialed 911. She squeezed Madison's hand one last time before stepping back. Madison settled into the car, her body sinking into the soft leather seats. She felt small, fragile, but no longer alone. As the car pulled away, Maya raised a hand in a silent promise. "I've got your back." The drive to Teterboro Airport took less than 40 minutes, but every minute felt like a countdown. Madison couldn't shake the fear that Logan would appear out of nowhere, the way he used to when he wanted to control the narrative. She kept watching the rearview mirror for his car, half expecting it to appear. Ethan must have sensed her tension. "He doesn't know you're leaving," he reassured her. "Your discharge was handled quietly. No paper trail." Madison looked at him, brow furrowed. "You've done this before? Protected assets from dangerous men?" Ethan asked, eyes on the road. "Yes." She swallowed. He wasn't talking about money, he was talking about her. When they reached the airport, a sleek private jet waited on the runway, engines humming softly. Madison exhaled, feeling a ripple of disbelief. The last time she'd seen a jet like that, she was 16, flying with her father to a conference in Tokyo. That life felt like a dream she had woken up from far too soon. The wind whipped around her as Ethan helped her up the steps slowly, carefully. Once inside, the cabin smelled faintly of cedar and clean linen. A plush cream blanket lay folded on the seat. "Try to rest," Ethan said, fastening her seatbelt. "It's a long flight." She looked around, eyes scanning the polished wood panels, the soft overhead lights, the silence that felt like a sanctuary, a place where Logan couldn't reach her. But something gnawed at her. "Ethan, there's something you're not telling me." He sat across from her, hands clasped. His expression was unreadable. "There will be time for answers in California. For now, focus on breathing." "No," she said, voice trembling. "I need to know. Why now? Why come for me after all these years? Why did my father trust you with everything?" His jaw tightened. He hesitated. Then the plane began to accelerate, the vibration humming beneath her feet. Ethan leaned in just enough for his words to reach only her. "Because your father didn't choose me, Madison," he said quietly. "You did." Her breath hitched. "What are you talking about? You were 17. You asked me to protect you from anyone who would ever try to use you." His eyes softened with something heavy, something almost painful. "Including the man you would one day marry." The engines roared. Madison's heart stopped. "Logan was never your first betrayal," Ethan murmured. "Just the one you remembered." And before she could demand more, the plane lifted off, dragging her back into a past she had forgotten and a future she wasn't ready for. The private jet touched down in Palo Alto just after sunset, the California sky washed in soft gold, fading into violet. Madison stared out the window, her heart beating too fast as the silhouette of rolling hills came into view. She hadn't been here in over a decade. The last time she had, her father was still alive, still calling her Maddie, still promising she would never be alone. Now she returned carrying a child, and carrying wounds she hadn't even begun to understand. Ethan helped her down the steps. The air was warmer here, gentler, the kind of air that should have felt comforting. Instead, it pressed on her chest like a memory she wasn't ready to face. A black SUV waited at the curb. The driver greeted Ethan respectfully, then looked at Madison with recognition. "Miss Hale," he said softly, "welcome home." Home. The word struck like a stone thrown into a still pond. Madison slid into the back seat, her gaze drifting to the window as they drove through Palo Alto, past quiet streets, towering oaks, gated estates, and sleek tech offices with glowing logos. Every building felt like a ghost from another timeline. After 20 minutes, they turned onto a secluded road lined with tall cypress trees. At the end stood a glass and stone estate overlooking the bay, modern, elegant, breathtaking. Lights glowed warmly from inside, reflecting off the water. "This was my father's?" Madison whispered. "No," Ethan said. "It's yours." Her breath caught. "I never wanted any of this." "You didn't want Logan either," Ethan replied calmly. "But you still ended up with him." The driver opened her door, and Madison stepped out slowly. Waves lapped gently below the cliffside. The house seemed too big, too quiet, too full of things she wasn't ready to remember. Inside, the entryway smelled faintly of cedar and citrus. Polished floors, tall ceilings, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the bay. Beautiful, sterile, untouched, like a museum for a life she abandoned. Ethan motioned to a couch overlooking the water. "Sit. Rest. We'll talk when you're ready." But Madison shook her head. No more waiting. You said I chose you when I was 17. What did you mean? Ethan's expression shifted. Something complicated. Something bordering on grief. He removed his coat, set it neatly aside, and stood in front of her with the posture of a man who had carried a secret for far too long. Your father came to me when Hailtech was under attack, Ethan began. He feared someone would target you. He wanted me to protect the trust, the assets, the legacy. He paused. But you asked me to protect you. Madison frowned. I don't remember. You were traumatized, Ethan said gently. Your world had collapsed. The lawyers, the media, the threats. You were drowning. One night you came to my office. You were shaking, crying. You said, he swallowed hard. You said you didn't trust anyone else, that I was the only person who had never lied to you. Madison looked away, eyes burning. Then why did you disappear? For years. Because you begged me to, he said quietly. You said you wanted a normal life. No security teams, no board members, no legacy. You wanted to grow up without ever hearing the word Hale again. He took a step closer. So I honored your request. I protected you from a distance. A heavy silence filled the room. Madison's voice cracked. And Logan? He slipped through anyway. Ethan's jaw tightened. Because he studied you, manipulated his way into your world. We had no reason to suspect he knew who you were. Madison pressed a hand to her chest, trying to steady the ache. I thought I fell in love by accident, but the accident was him finding me. Ethan lowered his gaze. He won't hurt you again. I won't allow it. A tremor ran through her. Why do you care so much? Ethan's eyes met hers, calm, guarded, but hiding something deeper. Because I made a promise, he said softly. Not just to your father, to you. Before Madison could respond, her phone buzzed violently on the table. A notification flashed. Unsealed documents leaked. Logan Bishop's company under investigation. Possible connection to Hailtech? Madison froze. Ethan went still. This wasn't just personal anymore. Logan Bishop had accidentally set fire to the wrong empire. Madison's fingers trembled as she picked up her phone. The headline glowed like a live wire against the dim ambience of the estate's living room. Breaking. Bishop Analytics faces federal inquiry. Whistleblower links CEO to unauthorized data access. Potential Hailtech connection emerges. Her stomach tightened. Ethan, this can't be real. It's real, he said quietly. And it's only the beginning. He took the phone gently from her hand before the words could cut deeper. Madison, listen to me. This investigation isn't about you yet, but it will be, if we don't move carefully. How could my name be involved? She whispered. I never worked for Hailtech. I walked away from everything. Ethan exhaled, running a hand through his hair, something he never did unless genuinely troubled. Because the investigators are looking at a breach that happened 3 years ago. Someone accessed confidential Hailtech legacy files. Someone from Bishop Analytics. Madison felt cold creep across her skin. Logan, Ethan nodded once. Most likely. She shut her eyes, heartbeat pounding in her ears. He married me after that breach. Yes, Ethan said, and he kept you isolated from anything that might trigger suspicion. He didn't want you to remember who you were. He wanted your name buried so deeply that no one, not even you, would connect the dots. Madison pressed a hand to her mouth, her breath shuddering. God, did he ever love me? Anything? Ethan's face softened, but his words didn't. Logan doesn't love. Logan uses. The truth was a slap. She needed air. Madison rose shakily and walked toward the glass wall overlooking the bay. The sun had dipped completely now, leaving only the shimmer of distant city lights reflecting off the water. It was beautiful, quiet, the opposite of Manhattan's noise, her marriage's chaos, and yet her world felt louder than ever. Ethan approached slowly, leaving space, giving her room to breathe. You're safe here, he said. But you must understand something. This investigation can hurt you if Logan panics. He might try to drag you into it or claim you knew something you didn't. Madison swallowed hard. What do I do? You let me handle it, Ethan said simply. Her throat tightened. I don't want to hide anymore. Good, he said, a faint smile touching his lips. Because hiding is no longer an option. Before she could ask what he meant, a knock echoed through the foyer. Ethan stiffened, not in fear, but in evaluation. Stay here. Madison's pulse drummed as he crossed the room and opened the front door. A woman stood there, tall, poised, wearing a navy suit that screamed federal authority. Her badge flashed under the porch light. Mr. Ward, she asked. Yes? She handed him a sealed envelope from Ms. Madison Hale. Time sensitive. Madison's blood ran cold. The woman offered a respectful nod, then left as quickly as she came. Ethan returned to Madison, envelope in hand. She stared at it, fingers curling around the blanket draped over her lap. Is it from the investigators? She asked. No. Ethan turned the envelope over, eyes narrowing slightly. It's from a private law firm in Los Angeles. Madison frowned. He handed it to her. She hesitated, then tore it open. Her breath caught. Inside was a single sheet of crisp paper. Bold letters across the top. Legal notice of intent regarding potential misappropriation of Halotek legacy assets. Below it, one line struck her like lightning. We request immediate clarification regarding your connection to Logan Bishop. Madison's lips parted in shock. They think I'm involved? Ethan stepped closer. They think you're a victim, or a key to proving he committed fraud. Either way, they want you. Madison staggered backward, gripping the edge of the couch. This is spiraling out of control. Ethan gently steadied her shoulders. Then we take control back. How? His voice dropped to a whisper that felt like an earthquake. By revealing who you truly are. Madison stared up at him, breath trembling. I'm not ready. You are, Ethan said softly, and the world is about to learn the name Madison Hale again, with or without your permission. Her heart pounded, because she suddenly understood. Hiding was never going to save her. Becoming who she really was, just might. Logan Bishop strutted into the glass-walled boardroom of Bishop Analytics as if the entire building existed solely to worship him. The 28th floor overlooked lower Manhattan, the skyline sharp against the morning sun. His assistant scrambled behind him with a stack of folders, nearly tripping over her heels as he barked orders. Where's the updated press briefing? Logan snapped. And tell PR to push the mental health narrative harder. Sympathy polls dropped overnight. He didn't even look up as he tossed his iPhone onto the table. It landed beside a Mont Blanc pen and a cold espresso he'd abandoned earlier. The board members exchanged uneasy glances. They had watched him spin stories before, but never with this level of desperation. At the head of the table, CFO Greg Milton cleared his throat. Logan, there's something else, something you need to address. It can wait. Logan waved a hand. I have enough on my plate. It can't, Greg said firmly. Logan finally looked up, irritation flickering across his face. What now? Greg slid a folder toward him. Federal investigators contacted our legal department this morning. They want access to 3 years of archived data logs, specifically relating to a breach targeting Halotek systems. A vein pulsed in Logan's jaw. Coincidence? It's not, Greg said quietly. They also asked about your connection to Madison Hale. The room fell into a heavy silence. Logan forced a laugh. Her last name is Bishop. She's my ex-wife. They're overreaching. But the board members weren't convinced. One leaned forward. They want to know if you had any knowledge of Halotek's trust structures. Or her stake in. Stop talking, Logan snapped, slamming the folder shut. Several executives flinched. Greg studied him carefully. Logan, did you know who she was before you married her? Logan's silence said everything. A murmur spread around the table. The kind of murmur that could topple kings. Before anyone could push further, the door burst open. Logan's head of PR rushed inside, breathless, clutching a tablet. Sir, I think you need to see this. Logan snatched the device. His eyes scanned the screen and drained of color. A photo, taken just an hour ago. Clear as day. Madison, standing on the balcony of a cliffside California estate, the Hale estate, wrapped in a soft cream sweater, one hand on her pregnant belly, her face partially turned toward the ocean. She looked fragile, but not broken. And beside her, though only his silhouette showed, stood Ethan Ward. The headline burned. Mysterious tech heiress reappears in California, linked to billion-dollar Halotek legacy. Logan's pulse roared in his ears. She's not supposed to be there, he hissed. She's supposed to be in New York, quiet, dependent, scared. Greg folded his arms. Looks like she's not scared anymore. Logan shot him a glare sharp enough to carve granite. Get me her location, all of it. I want emails, messages, anything she's doing. That's illegal, a board member snapped. Do it, Logan barked. I made her. I supported her. She owes me. No, Greg said, voice rising. She never owed you anything. Logan stood abruptly, gripping the edge of the table so tightly his knuckles whitened. She thinks she can walk away from me, he muttered. She thinks she can run to California and hide behind my wife's. He stopped, because he had finally realized something. Madison wasn't hiding. She was positioning. And for the first time, fear flickered in Logan Bishop's eyes. The morning sun filtered through the sheer curtains of the Hale estate as Madison sat at the long oak table facing the bay. A steaming cup of chamomile tea rested between her palms, but she barely felt its warmth. Her mind churned with everything happening in New York. Logan's lies, the federal inquiry, the leaked photo of her on the balcony. She had wanted a quiet life. But quiet was no longer an option. Footsteps approached. Ethan entered the room carrying a sleek silver laptop and a folder of documents. His expression was unreadable, professional, but edged with something more human when he looked at her. "Did you sleep?" he asked. "A little." "Liar," Ethan said softly, pulling out a chair beside her. Madison attempted a smile, but it didn't reach her eyes. "I don't know how to sleep when every headline has my name in it." Ethan opened the laptop. "Then it's time to stop reacting." He turned the screen toward her. A detailed report filled the display, financial flowcharts, stock activity patterns, and a set of slides marked Bishop Analytics Risk Assessment. Madison blinked. "What is this?" "Our first move," Ethan said. "You're not just the victim in this story. You're the leverage Logan never accounted for." "I don't understand." Ethan leaned back, folding his hands. "Your father diversified the Hale Trust investments years ago. One of those investments, small at the time, was in Bishop Analytics." Madison's breath caught. "You mean, you own 18% of the company," he said gently. "More than most of their board members combined." A sharp chill ran through her chest. "Logan never knew. And that's what terrifies him," Ethan said. "Because if the public learns he married the hidden heiress of a company he's being investigated for hacking." He paused. "It will destroy him." Madison swallowed hard. "I didn't want any of this. I didn't want to ruin him." "You didn't," Ethan replied. "Logan ruined himself. You're simply protecting your future." He opened the folder next, sliding her a stack of papers, printouts of encrypted emails, internal memos, suspicious file transfers, all tied to Bishop Analytics. "Your father built Hale Tech to change the world," Ethan continued. "Logan is trying to use it to burn the world down. You can stop him." Madison stared at the evidence. So much deceit, so much manipulation. And she had been sleeping beside it for years. A wave of nausea rolled through her, and Ethan immediately reached for her arm. "Easy, breathe." She did, slowly, carefully. "I'm not strong enough for this," she whispered. "You are," Ethan said firmly. "You just don't realize it yet." Silence settled between them, heavy but filled with possibility. Finally, Madison exhaled. "What do you need me to do?" Ethan slid a single document toward her. "Authorize an audit of Bishop Analytics on behalf of Hale Trust." Madison blinked. "I have the authority?" "All of it," Ethan said. "And once the audit begins, Logan can't lie, manipulate, or hide funds. Every secret will be uncovered." Her hands trembled as they hovered over the pen. "This isn't revenge," Ethan said quietly. "This is protection. For you and your baby." Madison looked down at her belly. Her child deserved truth, safety, a life free from lies. She picked up the pen. Her signature flowed across the page like a blade slicing through a final thread. As she set the pen down, her breath steadied for the first time in days. Ethan watched her, not with triumph, but with something close to pride. "You just made your first move," he said. Madison lifted her chin. "No," she corrected softly. "I just made my first choice." Because for the first time she wasn't reacting to Logan Bishop. She was fighting him. Los Angeles glittered beneath the velvet night as Serafina Wilde stood barefoot on the balcony of her Beverly Hills suite, staring at the city lights she once believed she belonged to. She should have felt triumphant. She was the new face on every magazine cover, the woman on Logan Bishop's arm, the muse of a CEO who commanded Wall Street headlines. But tonight, her hands were shaking. Her phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Notifications rolled in like a tidal wave. Bishop Analytics under investigation. Who is Madison Hale? Ex-wife connected to billion-dollar tech empire. One headline hit harder than the others. Logan Bishop's new girlfriend under scrutiny. Did she benefit from misappropriated funds? Serafina swallowed hard. No, 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 no. She pressed a hand to her forehead, pacing. Her perfect world, designer clothes, five-star suites, front-row fashion invitations, was beginning to fracture. Just then, the suite door opened. Logan walked in, wearing the same suit from his chaotic board meeting, hair slightly mussed, jaw clenched with fury. He tossed his jacket across the sofa. "Pack your things. We're flying to New York tonight." Serafina froze. "Why? What's happening?" Logan downed a glass of whiskey in 2 gulps. "Madison is playing games. She leaked her location to the press. She wants attention." Serafina frowned. She didn't look like she wanted attention. She looked exhausted. "Don't be fooled by her theatrics," Logan snapped. "She's always been manipulative." "Manipulative?" Serafina cut in. "You told me she was unstable, that she refused to sign the divorce out of spite. But now," she held up her phone, "now I see headlines saying she almost lost the baby, that she had a medical emergency." Logan stiffened. "Gossip? She's exaggerating." Serafina's voice dropped. "Is she?" Logan stepped toward her. "Don't start this," but something in her cracked. For months, she had been the woman who smiled beside him, who played the role of the glamorous partner, who trusted every half-truth he fed her. But now she saw the same patterns he used on Madison. The gaslighting, the control, the shifting stories, the subtle threats disguised as reassurance. Serafina's chest tightened. "Logan, did you know who she was before you married her?" Silence. A heavy, dangerous silence. Logan's jaw flexed. "It doesn't matter." "So you did?" Serafina whispered, voice trembling. "You lied to her and to me." Logan's eyes darkened. "Enough. Pack your things. We have to get ahead of this." Serafina took a step back. "You used me." His expression sharpened, cold, calculating. "Everyone uses everyone in my world. Don't act naive." Her eyes burned. "You promised you loved me, and you needed to be needed," he said with a shrug. "It worked, until now." Serafina's breath hitched. There it was, the truth. Brutal, unvarnished, final. She steadied herself. "Logan, I'm not going with you." He froze. "What?" "I'm not ruining my life for yours," she whispered. "And I'm not lying for you anymore." His voice dropped into a threat. "Be very careful." Serafina stepped back, spine straightening with unexpected strength. "No, you be careful, because if they question me, I'm telling the truth." A storm passed through Logan's expression, but then he smirked. "You're not capable of hurting me, Serafina." Maybe before, she wasn't. But now, she looked him dead in the eyes. "Watch me." And for the first time, Logan realized, Serafina Wilde was no longer his puppet. She was his liability. Back in California, Madison sat curled on the corner of a cream sofa, wrapped in a soft blanket, staring at the morning news playing across a wall-mounted screen. Ethan had muted the TV, but he didn't need sound. Every headline felt like a punch straight to her ribs. Anonymous sources claim Madison Hale is emotionally unstable. Pregnant heiress reportedly suffering mental distress during marriage. Insider, Logan Bishop fears for unborn child safety. Her hands shook. "He's framing me as mentally unfit for custody." Ethan's jaw clenched, the muscle ticking sharply. "Yes, and he's doing it fast because he's scared." Your audit authorization rattled him. "But these lies," Madison whispered, "people will believe them." "They won't matter." Ethan said, "Truth wins in court, not headlines." Madison pressed a hand to her belly. The baby moved, a soft flutter that should have comforted her. Instead, it ignited fresh fear. "What if he tries to take the baby from me? What if—" "Stop," Ethan said firmly, stepping closer. "Logan will not touch your child. Not legally, not physically, not ever." She wanted to believe him. She wanted to be brave. But the headlines kept replaying in her mind, Logan painting her as fragile, unstable, incapable. The world had always underestimated quiet women like her. Logan knew exactly how to weaponize that. Her throat tightened. "He's turning my weakest moment into ammunition." Ethan knelt so he was level with her, voice gentle but unwavering. "Madison, listen carefully. What happened in New York wasn't weakness. It was survival. Logan did that to you. His actions put your life at risk." She blinked hard. "But the world doesn't see that." "I see it," Ethan said. She swallowed the ache rising in her chest. Just then, the estate security system chimed softly. A tablet on the table lit up with a notification. Ethan grabbed it, scanning quickly. He cursed under his breath. Madison's pulse spiked. "What happened?" Ethan turned the screen toward her. A drone photo. An aerial shot of the Hale estate, her silhouette visible through the glass window. Taken just minutes ago. The caption beneath it, "Where is Madison Hale hiding?" Investigators want answers. Madison felt her stomach drop. "Someone tracked us." "Not someone," Ethan said darkly. Logan. Her breath stuttered. He's watching me? No, Ethan corrected. He's hunting you. A sudden wave of nausea rolled through her, forcing her to clutch the armrest. Ethan was instantly at her side. We need to move to the interior wing, he said. No windows, no line of sight. I'll have the drones jammed and the perimeter doubled. But Madison wasn't hearing him anymore. She was hearing Logan's voice from months ago, the one he used behind closed doors. No one will ever choose you over me. You'd fall apart without me. You're not strong enough to leave. Her hands curled into fists. Madison. Ethan touched her shoulder. Talk to me. She looked up, tears slipping silently down her cheeks, but behind them something new flickered. Not despair. Anger. He won't stop, she whispered. He won't let me be free. Then we stop him, Ethan said, but she shook her head. Not just stop him. Her voice steadied. We expose him. Ethan studied her, pride softening his expression. Then we do it your way. Good. Madison breathed. Because something inside her had changed. She was no longer the woman who collapsed on the plaza's marble floor. She was the woman who would bring Logan Bishop's empire to its knees, and she had just reached her breaking point. The storm that had been building inside Madison finally broke the next morning. She stood in the center of the Hale Estate's quiet command room, a glass-walled space filled with screens, servers, and decades of archived Hale tech intelligence. The same room her father once used to design the backbone of the company. Now it hummed with low, steady power, the lights casting a soft glow across her determined face. Ethan stepped beside her, sliding a stack of files onto the table. If you want to expose Logan, you need a plan, a precise one. I want more than exposure, Madison said quietly. I want the truth to be undeniable. Ethan nodded once. Then we start with the pattern. He tapped the first file. A timeline unfurled, 3 years of data breaches, financial inconsistencies, internal Bishop analytics memos, and surveillance reports. Madison's stomach twisted as she recognized dates that overlapped with milestones in her marriage. The first breach attempt, Ethan said, pointing to a red-marked entry, was 2 months before you met Logan. Madison inhaled sharply. So he didn't just pursue me. He prepared for me. He studied you, Ethan confirmed, your habits, your interests, your vulnerabilities. When he approached you at that tech conference, he already knew who you were. Her throat constricted. She remembered that day, Logan bumping into her, apologizing nervously, complimenting her presentation slide deck. She thought it was fate. Now she knew it was calculation. She pressed a hand to her belly. He used my entire life as leverage. And now you use the truth as yours, Ethan said. He handed her another file. Madison opened it, eyes widening at the organized structure inside. Charts, timelines, witness statements, financial trails. Not just proof. A blueprint. What is this? She whispered. A forensic narrative, Ethan said. We build a story that investigators can't ignore. We show Logan's decisions, motives, and methods. We show his connection to the Hale Tech breach. And when we present it, publicly or privately, he collapses. Madison felt a pulse of strength she hadn't felt in months. I want him to collapse legally, financially, and publicly. Ethan allowed the smallest hint of a smile. Then we need one more piece. He opened a final folder. Inside was a list of names, employees, analysts, former consultants, all people who had left Bishop Analytics abruptly. Madison frowned. Why are these people important? Because they didn't leave, Ethan said. They ran. Madison looked up sharply. From him? From his secrets, Ethan confirmed. And they'd been waiting for someone powerful enough to listen. A soft knock sounded at the door. Ethan turned. A woman stepped inside. Tall, composed, late 40s. She wore a tailored blazer and carried a leather portfolio. Madison blinked. Who? This is Camille Rhodes, Ethan said, former compliance director at Bishop Analytics. Camille extended her hand to Madison. I've been waiting a long time to meet you. Madison shook it cautiously. Why did you leave the company? Camille's gaze hardened. Because Logan Bishop asked me to bury evidence of his breach. When I refused, he made sure I couldn't work in the industry again. Madison's breath caught. Camille opened her portfolio and slid out a series of printed documents. These are internal emails, security logs, screenshots, and meeting transcripts that prove Logan's intent, she said quietly. I collected them the night before I resigned. I didn't know what to do with them until your name resurfaced. Madison stared at the documents. Here it was. Proof. Corroboration. The missing key. This will destroy him, Madison whispered. No, Camille corrected softly. You will destroy him. I'm simply giving you the match. Madison looked at Ethan. His expression said everything. Her blueprint was complete. She inhaled deeply, her voice steady for the first time. Then let's burn down everything he'd built on my name. Because Madison Hale wasn't just fighting for justice. She was about to orchestrate Logan Bishop's downfall herself. The next 72 hours transformed the quiet Hale estate into something electric, alive with purpose, strategy, and the calculated hum of war. Madison moved through the halls with a steadiness none of them had seen in her before. It wasn't that her pain had vanished. It hadn't. But now it had direction, shape, force. And that force had a name. Heiress. She stood in the center of the design studio, an airy room filled with whiteboards, holographic displays, and prototype devices, watching the small team Ethan had assembled for her. Engineers, UX designers, data security experts. People her father once trusted. People she had met as a child, never realizing they'd one day look to her as their leader. On the main screen flashed the first mock-up of the product she'd conceived years ago, but abandoned when life became too heavy. A financial guidance platform powered by AI. Simple, transparent, safe. Everything Bishop Analytics wasn't. A tool built for people, not shareholders. Madison touched the screen gently. It's better than I imagined. Ethan stood beside her, one hand tucked into his pocket, quietly observing her come alive in a way he'd never seen. That's because you're different now. She looked at him. How? You stopped shrinking, he said softly. She didn't know how to respond to that, so she turned back to the project. Walk me through the latest build, she said. The lead engineer, Lucas, tapped a few keys. We've refined the interface. It can give real-time financial insights without harvesting user data illegally. The security protocols are airtight. Madison smiled faintly. Good. Let's build the anti-Bishop. The room chuckled, and for a fleeting second, Madison felt a warmth she hadn't expected. Belonging. They worked through the afternoon. Madison sketched UI flows on a glass board, her handwriting precise and sure. She made decisions confidently, not hesitating the way she once did when Logan dismissed her ideas at home or mocked her little design projects. Here, no one mocked her. Here, they listened. Here, she wasn't the quiet wife. She was the mind behind a revolution. As dusk settled over the bay, Ethan approached her with another folder. We should talk about the launch. Madison raised a brow. Launch? We're not finished building. We don't need to be, he said. We only need to announce your comeback. The world thinks you're in hiding. We announce Heiress, your leadership, your vision, and people will listen. Madison hesitated. Won't it look like I'm retaliating against Logan? Ethan held her gaze. It will look like you're stepping into the role you were born for. And if it triggers him? She whispered. It already has, Ethan replied. Now use that. She exhaled slowly. When do we announce? Madison froze. Tonight? Ethan stepped closer. You wanted to expose him, this is how. His investors will panic, his board will demand answers, and everything we found in the audit will hit 10 times harder. Madison looked at the glowing Heiress mock-up. The future she was building, the truth she was ready to claim, the life she refused to lose. Finally she nodded. Then let's do it. At 8:47 p.m., the news broke across every major platform. Madison Hale returns to tech industry with new fintech platform Heiress, a direct competitor to Bishop Analytics. Within seconds, Logan's empire began to shake. Investors called emergency meetings, analysts lit up Twitter, tech reporters scrambled for interviews, and in the center of the chaos, Madison Hale stood stronger than she'd ever been. Because Heiress wasn't just a product, it was her declaration of war. The moment the Heiress announcement hit the internet, Logan Bishop felt the ground slip from under him. He stood in the center of his penthouse office, towering over Manhattan's neon-lit skyline, watching the news ticker on the wall-mounted screen update in real time. Madison Hale launches new fintech platform. Heiress, a direct threat to Bishop Analytics. Heiress returns to tech world amid federal inquiry. His hands tightened around his glass of scotch until the crystal creaked. This is impossible, Logan hissed. She was supposed to be broken, weak, dependent. But the woman he'd underestimated had just declared open war. Greg, the CFO, entered cautiously. Logan, the board is panicking. Investors are demanding explanations. Heiress is trending #1 worldwide. I don't care about trending, Logan roared, slamming his glass against the desk. It shattered, amber liquid spilling like blood across polished wood. Greg flinched. The problem isn't the announcement. It's who she is. Madison Hale isn't just your ex-wife. She's the Hale Tech heiress. People are connecting her name to the breach investigation. Logan's face drained of color. No, they can't prove anything. Camille Rhodes is cooperating with investigators, Greg added. She's already handed over internal documents. Logan froze. Camille? The compliance director he silenced years ago? She was still alive professionally? Greg continued, voice dropping. And Serafina Wilde just posted a statement online saying she's willing to assist investigators with full honesty. Something inside Logan cracked. That stupid model. That ungrateful compliance director. That weak little wife. No. Not weak. Not anymore. A notification flashed on Logan's phone. He snatched it up. A clip of Madison speaking. Not in a studio. Not with makeup and lighting. But in a simple sweater on the balcony of the Hale estate. The bay behind her glowing gold. Her voice calm, steady, deadly. Heiress is built on transparency and integrity, values my father spent his life defending. For too long, certain companies have abused the trust of their users. That ends now. Logan's throat went dry. She had never spoken like that before. She sounded like a leader, like her father. She's lying, Logan muttered. She's manipulating sympathy. No one will believe her. Greg stared at him. Everyone believes her. Logan spun around, panic spiking. We need to bury this. Shut her down legally. Threaten her. Leak something. I don't care. Just destroy her public credibility. Greg shook his head slowly. We can't touch her. She's too connected, too public, too protected. Logan slammed his fist into the wall. The painting rattled violently. You think she's stronger than me? Logan snarled. Greg swallowed. Right now? Yes. Logan grabbed his coat. No, she doesn't win. She can't. I made her. I built her confidence. I shaped her world. She's nothing without. He stopped when he noticed Greg's expression. It wasn't fear, it was pity. Logan, Greg said softly, she didn't become powerful because of you. She became powerful because she survived you. Logan's breath stilled. Survived him. He stormed past Greg, fury radiating off him. I'm going to California. I'll confront her myself. Greg stepped in front of him. Logan, that's the worst possible move. But Logan shoved him aside and stabbed the elevator button with shaking hands. She thinks she can humiliate me? He muttered. She thinks she can expose me? The elevator doors slid open. She has no idea who she's dealing with. But for the first time in his life, Logan Bishop was wrong. The Superior Court of California buzzed with tension as Madison stepped through the tall glass doors, her hand resting protectively over her belly. She wore a simple cream dress and a soft trench coat, not glamorous, not loud, but impossibly dignified. Ethan walked beside her, rigid with focus, his presence a dark shield against the chaos gathering outside. Reporters swarmed the steps, camera flashes exploding like lightning. Madison, did Logan fabricate the mental health claims? Is Heiress retaliation? Are you cooperating with federal investigators? Madison didn't answer. She couldn't. Her heart hammered too hard. The floors felt like shifting sand beneath her feet. Inside the courtroom, Maya was already waiting, briefcase in hand, hair pulled back, eyes sharp enough to slice steel. She hugged Madison briefly. You ready for this? Maya whispered. No, Madison confessed. That's fine, Maya replied. I am. They took their seats just as the heavy wooden doors swung open again. Logan Bishop entered, smiling, polished, tailored, dripping arrogance, as if he hadn't spent the last week setting the world on fire. His lawyer, a smug, high-priced defense attorney, walked at his side. Logan gave Madison a soft, pitying smile, the kind a man gives to someone he thinks he still owns. She looked away. The judge entered. Everyone stood. The hearing began. Logan's attorney rose first. Your Honor, we are seeking temporary full custody of the unborn child due to clear evidence of Miss Hale's emotional instability and recent hospitalization. Madison felt Maya stiffen beside her. The attorney continued, waving printed screenshots. The media has documented Miss Hale's dramatic collapse. She has exhibited signs of emotional volatility and has created an unsafe, erratic environment. Maya shot to her feet. Objection. This is a smear campaign. None of this is supported by medical documentation or factual evidence. The judge lifted a hand. We will get to that. Let him finish. Logan's lawyer smirked. We also have proof she fled the state without informing Mr. Bishop, intentionally hiding the pregnancy in a location unknown to the father. Maya stepped forward, fiery. She fled because she nearly died from stress her husband caused. She was advised by her doctor, an OB/GYN specializing in high-risk pregnancies, to remove herself from emotional harm. And where is this doctor? The attorney countered. Conveniently unavailable? The courtroom doors opened. A figure stepped in. Dr. Avery Quinn, still in scrubs, hospital badge clipped to his pocket, as if he'd just left surgery to be here. Gasps rippled through the room. Avery calmly took his place beside Madison's team. I am here, he said. And I have medical documentation proving Miss Hale's collapse was the direct result of emotional trauma inflicted by Mr. Bishop. Logan's face drained of color. Avery continued, sliding papers to the judge. Preeclampsia risk, placental bleeding, elevated cortisol levels. If she remained near Mr. Bishop, her life and the baby's would have been endangered. Logan's attorney tried to speak, but Avery cut him off with a single cold look. The judge read the documents. The room held its breath. Then, Judge, temporary custody remains solely with Miss Hale. Mr. Bishop is barred from contact until further psychiatric evaluation and an investigation into these medical claims. Logan exploded. What? She's manipulating all of you. She's nothing. She's... Sit down, Mr. Bishop, the judge snapped. But Madison wasn't looking at him. She was watching something else. Ethan's jaw tightening. Maya's victorious smirk. Avery's steady nod. For the first time in months, the world wasn't collapsing beneath her. It was collapsing beneath him. Because Logan Bishop, the man who once believed he owned her future, had just suffered his first public defeat. And it would not be his last. The next morning, the tension inside the Midtown Hilton ballroom felt sharp enough to cut glass. Rows of padded chairs filled with analysts, investors, and board members, every one of them buzzing with quiet panic. The annual Bishop Analytics shareholder meeting had always been a display of Logan's ego. He loved the spotlight, the applause, the carefully orchestrated praise. Today, the lights felt harsher, the cameras more intrusive, the whispers far more dangerous. Logan strode onto the stage with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. He adjusted his tie, pretending he didn't see the sea of cold expressions watching him. He pretended the federal investigation wasn't hovering over him like a storm cloud. He pretended Madison's courtroom victory didn't bruise his pride. Good morning, he began, voice polished. Bishop Analytics is stronger than ever. Our innovation continues to... A hand shot up in the first row. An elderly investor with silver hair. Mr. Bishop, he interrupted, before you begin, we need to address the rumors regarding Heiress. Logan forced a chuckle. A startup led by my unstable ex-wife is hardly a... The room erupted. Reporters, shareholders, board members talking over one another. Is Madison Hale the real Hale Tech heir? Did you conceal information about her identity? Is it true you attempted to access confidential Hale Tech systems? Did you endanger her pregnancy? Logan raised his hands. Let's keep this civil. Another voice cut him off. Actually, the board chair said, rising from his seat, let's keep it honest. Logan's jaw tensed. I am being honest. That's your problem, a shareholder muttered. We don't believe you. Laughter rippled, quiet but deadly. Logan straightened. This company is stable. Hale versus a PR stunt. Madison Hale is... But he stopped, because the ballroom doors opened, and Madison Hale walked in. She didn't wear designer clothes or dramatic makeup, just a soft beige dress, her hair down, her presence calm but commanding. Ethan and Maya flanked her like bookends of strength. Logan froze at the podium. You don't belong here, he spat. Oh, but she does, board chairwoman Dana Hollings said, stepping aside to welcome her. Miss Hale requested the floor. Under Rule 12.4, major shareholders may address the board. Logan's face drained. She's not a shareholder. Ethan raised a document. She owns 18%, more than you. A gasp swept the room. Madison stepped forward. Good morning, she said gently, gripping the podium. I apologize for interrupting, but transparency matters, and this company deserves the truth. Logan lunged forward. Madison, stop! Security blocked him. The room held its breath. Madison continued, voice steady. 3 years ago, Bishop Analytics breached confidential Hale Tech systems. Internal documents, provided by former employees, prove it. Emails show intent to target me and my trust assets. Logan Bishop knowingly exploited me for corporate gain. Papers rustled, cameras flashed, investors whispered furiously. Madison's gaze didn't waver. I did not come for revenge. I came because this company deserves leadership that values integrity. Logan Bishop does not meet that standard. The board chair turned to the audience. We will now vote on removing Mr. Bishop as CEO of Bishop Analytics, effective immediately. Logan's scream split the air. You can't do this. I built this company. She's lying. She's manipulating all of you. No one listened. One by one, red voting buttons lit up. Removal, 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 removal. The screen tallied the result. 92% vote to remove Logan Bishop. Logan stumbled back, breath heaving. Security approached. No, no, this is my company, he roared as they gripped his arms. Madison, you owe me everything, everything. Madison looked at him with heartbreaking calm. I owed you nothing, she said softly. And now, you have nothing. As security dragged him away, Logan Bishop, the man who built an empire on lies, finally saw it crumble. And Madison Hale was the one who struck the first blow. Logan Bishop didn't remember stumbling out of the Midtown Hilton. He hardly felt the cold air slamming into his face as security shoved him onto the sidewalk. The city around him, once his kingdom, now blurred into streaks of neon and moving shadows. He stood there, breath ragged, coat half torn from the scuffle, as the reality of the vote echoed in his skull. 92%. 92% of his own shareholders wanted him gone. A camera flashed. Someone yelled his name. Another shouted, Logan, is it true? Did you hack Hailtech? He snarled, get away from me, and shoved past them, nearly tripping over the curb. A black sedan screeched to a halt in front of him. His personal driver, at least the one he still had left, pulled the window down. Sir, where should I? Just drive, Logan barked, sliding in and slamming the door. But as soon as the car merged into traffic, Logan realized the driver wasn't wearing the usual uniform. His pulse spiked. Who the hell are you? The driver didn't look back. I'm the temp the company hired this morning. Your usual driver was reassigned. Reassigned. Another piece of his life ripped away. Logan pressed trembling hands to his face. It's fine. Just take me home. A bitter laugh escaped him. Home. The penthouse he'd flaunted in interviews, the skyline view he'd used to impress investors and lovers alike. It felt like a mockery now. His phone buzzed. He grabbed it like a lifeline, only to see a new headline. Madison Hale's audit uncovers unauthorized transfers. Federal investigators expand inquiry. No, he whispered. No, she can't do this. She doesn't have the authority, but she did. Because he had underestimated her from the beginning. The car pulled to a stop at a red light. Outside, a jumbo digital billboard shifted to a new ad, Haleverse. Madison's soft, steady voice filled the street. Technology should protect people, not exploit them. Logan slammed his fist against the car window. Turn it off! Turn it off! The driver didn't respond. Logan's breathing turned shallow. His throat tightened until it burned. He felt small, caged, cornered, an animal realizing it wasn't the predator anymore. He dialed Serafina. Voicemail. He tried again. Voicemail. He cursed and threw the phone toward the front seat. Everyone is abandoning me. The driver finally spoke, voice calm, almost pitying. Sir, they're not abandoning you. They're distancing themselves from a sinking ship. Logan lunged forward, grabbing the man's shoulder. Watch your mouth. The driver didn't flinch. I'm just saying what everyone else is thinking. Humiliation clawed up Logan's spine. The car turned into the underground parking garage of his building. Logan pushed the door open before the car even stopped fully. He stormed toward the elevator, but froze when he saw two men in suits waiting by the doors. They stepped forward. Mr. Bishop? Yes, what? Logan barked. One man held out an envelope. This is your 30-day eviction notice. The property is registered under Bishop Analytics Corporate Housing. You no longer have authorization to reside here. Logan's throat closed. You're kicking me out of my own penthouse? It was never your personal property, sir. The elevator doors slid shut behind them. Logan staggered backward, dizzy. No home, no job, no company, no control. His empire had fallen in less than 48 hours. And at the center of it all was the one woman he thought he broke, now standing taller than ever. Logan pressed his back to the cold concrete wall, sliding down until he hit the floor. For the first time in his life, he understood. He hadn't destroyed Madison Hale. He had created her. and she had just ended him. The delivery room was quiet except for the rhythmic beeping of monitors and the soft encouragement from nurses. Madison gripped the sides of the hospital bed, sweat dampening her forehead, her breath coming in sharp, uneven bursts. "Almost there, Madison," Dr. Avery Quinn said calmly, adjusting her IV. "You're doing beautifully. Just keep breathing." Her vision blurred with pain and exhaustion. "Please, just make sure he's safe," she whispered. Avery met her gaze. "I promise." And with one final push, a newborn cry filled the room, sharp, loud, alive. Madison sobbed, not from pain but from relief so powerful it knocked the breath from her lungs. "It's a boy," Avery said softly, "a strong one." They placed the tiny, warm bundle on her chest. Madison touched her son's cheek, tears slipping freely. "Hi, baby. I'm here. I'm right here." For the first time in months, her heart felt whole. Moments later, the door opened quietly. Ethan stepped inside, pausing at the sight before him. Madison, glowing with new motherhood, the baby curled against her chest. His expression softened, all the steel he usually carried melting away. "You made it," she whispered. "You did," Ethan corrected gently. "You saved him." Madison nodded, brushing a trembling finger over her son's tiny hand. "I want to name him Daniel, after my father." Ethan swallowed, emotion flickering across his features. He'd be honored. A nurse approached. "Miss Hale, we have a visitor requesting to see you." Madison stiffened. Avery immediately stepped closer. "If it's Logan, the answer is no." "It's not Logan," the nurse said. "It's Serafina Wilde." Silence fell. Madison exchanged a glance with Ethan. He tensed, ready to refuse, but Madison inhaled deeply. "Let her in." The door opened again and Serafina stepped inside. No makeup, no jewelry, no glamour. Just a woman who looked tired, fragile, and weighed down with guilt. She lingered by the door, unsure whether she belonged. Madison spoke first. "Why are you here?" Serafina's voice cracked. "To apologize." Madison studied her. "For what?" "For believing him," Serafina whispered. "For letting myself be used as his weapon. For letting the world think you were weak when you were the strongest woman in the room." Ethan's posture eased slightly, but he remained wary. Serafina stepped closer, hands trembling. "I know you have no reason to forgive me, but I wanted you to know. I told the investigators everything. Every lie he fed me, every illegal instruction, every threat." Madison blinked, surprised. "You testified?" "Yes," Serafina said. "And I made a public statement this morning. Logan can't spin the story anymore." A heavy silence passed. Then Serafina's eyes fell to the baby. "He's beautiful," she whispered. "He has your eyes." Madison exhaled slowly. "You were a victim too," she murmured. "Maybe a different kind, but still a victim." Tears filled Serafina's eyes. "Thank you." She turned to leave, but Madison called after her. "Serafina," she paused, "you deserve a life that's not defined by him." Serafina smiled, small, broken, grateful, and slipped out the door. Ethan moved closer to the bed, his eyes locked on Madison and the baby. There was something new in his expression. Something warm, something vulnerable. "He's perfect," Ethan said gently. Madison looked up. "We're going to be okay, aren't we?" Ethan reached down, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "We're going to be better than okay." Madison leaned back against the pillows, cradling her son. For the first time since her world collapsed at the plaza, she felt safe, free. And this time, the life growing around her was built on truth, not lies. The sun was just beginning to rise over the California coastline, casting warm gold across the glass walls of the Hale estate. Inside, the living room was quiet, except for the soft breathing of a newborn sleeping peacefully in Madison's arms. She rocked him gently, her heart swelling each time his tiny fingers curled around hers. Daniel, her son, her miracle. After everything, he was here, safe, warm, and finally free from the shadow Logan had cast over her life. The door opened softly. Ethan stepped in, carrying 2 mugs of tea, no coffee because she couldn't have caffeine yet. He set one beside her and sat in the chair near her feet. "He's still asleep?" Ethan asked. Madison nodded, brushing a finger across Daniel's cheek. "He's perfect." A soft pride flickered in Ethan's eyes. "So is his mother." She laughed weakly. "I don't feel perfect. I feel tired and emotional and relieved and terrified of everything at once." "That's called being human," Ethan said, "and being a parent." Madison glanced up at him, emotion tightening her throat. "Thank you." "For what?" "For not leaving," she whispered. "Even when I pushed you away years ago. Even when I didn't remember asking you to protect me. Even when everything fell apart." Ethan leaned forward, forearms resting on his knees. Madison, I stayed because you're not just someone I promised to protect. You're someone I... He paused, searching for the right words. Someone I believe in, he finished softly. Someone I care about, deeply. Madison held his gaze, heart thudding. Ethan. But before she could speak again, Maya entered, her presence like a burst of warmth and energy. Okay. I come bearing gifts, gossip, and legal updates, she announced dramatically. But first, let me see my godson. Madison laughed as Maya scooped Daniel into her arms, rocking him with a practiced ease. You're ridiculous, Madison said. And you love me, Maya replied with a wink. She turned serious for a moment. The press is calling you a symbol of resilience. Heiress stock is projected to skyrocket once it officially launches. Federal investigators officially cleared you of all involvement with Logan's breaches. Madison exhaled, relief washing over her. It's over then? Almost, Maya said. Logan is facing charges. Securities fraud, corporate espionage, coercion. It's a lot. Madison looked down. I don't want him to suffer forever. I just wanted him to stop hurting people. And now he can't, Maya said gently. His power is gone. A quiet settled over the room. Ethan finally broke it. What happens next for you? Madison looked at Daniel, then at the Pacific Ocean glittering beyond the window, then back at Ethan. I build something real, she said softly. Something honest, something my father would be proud of. And I think I finally accept who I am. The Hale Tech heiress? Maya teased. Madison smiled. No, Madison Hale, the woman who didn't break. Ethan's eyes warmed. You're not alone anymore. You never will be. Her heart skipped. Is that a promise? A promise, he said, and something more, if you'll let it be. For a moment neither of them spoke. Then Madison reached out, taking Ethan's hand gently. I want you here, she whispered. With us, with Daniel, with me. Ethan's breath caught. Madison, I'm not asking for perfection, she said. Just stay. His answer was simple, a quiet yes. Outside, the first full light of morning flooded the estate. Inside, Madison Hale held her son, held Ethan's hand, and felt, for the first time in years, what a new beginning truly meant. Not just survival, not just victory, but a life rebuilt on truth, love, and freedom. So that's how the story ends. And if you're still here, listening all the way to this moment, then something in Madison's journey must have touched your heart in a very real way. Maybe it reminded you of your own strength, your own quiet battles, or the moments when you thought you were breaking, but you weren't. You were becoming. Her story teaches us something deeply human. You don't heal by erasing the past. You heal by rising above it. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The obstacle is the way." And that's exactly what Madison lived through. The betrayal, the fear, the loss, those weren't signs of weakness. They were the very forces that shaped her courage. And maybe, just maybe, whatever you're facing right now is shaping you too. If you felt even a little inspired, a little comforted, or a little stronger because of this journey, then don't leave quietly. Like the video, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to stay with us for more stories that remind you of your own strength. You're not alone, and your comeback is already on its way.